Lucas Harris had never imagined his mission would end this way. The young soldier found himself trapped, held firmly between two towering Zolarian guards, each gripping his arms as if he weighed nothing at all. His helmet had already been removed. Revealing his exhausted face, dirt streaked across his cheeks and a cut bleeding lightly above his left eyebrow. Lucas knew he had fought bravely, yet it had not been enough. He was now a prisoner of the very enemy he had sworn to defeat. As the massive doors ahead of him swung open slowly, Lucas felt a shiver run through him. The room before him was massive, with tall walls shimmering faintly in hues of purple and blue. Ornate patterns adorned the floor, glittering softly as if covered in tiny diamonds. At the far end of the room, sitting upon a throne carved from a glowing crystal, was Queen Mirava herself. Lucas had seen pictures of her, studied her in briefings, but none had captured her true presence. Her skin was a soft lavender, her eyes deep and dark, watching him closely. Her silver robes flowed gracefully around her, making her appear even more powerful and mysterious. The guards pushed Lucas forward, forcing him to walk toward the throne. He stumbled slightly but managed to keep his footing. He refused to show weakness in front of his enemy, even now. He straightened himself, squaring his shoulders, determined to meet whatever fate awaited him with dignity. Queen Mirava rose slowly, descending the steps of her throne with an elegant grace. Her footsteps echoed quietly, the room silent except for the soft rustle of her robes. Lucas could feel his heartbeat quicken as she approached. She stopped just a few steps from him, looking him over carefully, her gaze thoughtful. "You are human," she said softly, her voice smooth and gentle, almost melodic. "Yet you stand here proudly, even now." Lucas lifted his chin slightly, meeting her gaze evenly. "I am a soldier," he replied simply. "Pride is all I have left." Queen Mirava tilted her head slightly, considering his words. "Do you believe pride will save you, human?" Lucas hesitated for only a moment before responding. "Pride will keep me strong even when I am not saved." The queen's eyes softened, almost in admiration. She stepped closer, studying his face carefully. "Tell me your name," she commanded gently. "Lucas Harris," he answered firmly. "Lucas Harris," Queen Mirava repeated, tasting the name as if trying to understand its significance. "I see strength in your eyes, Lucas. Strength, but also pain. Why fight so fiercely against us?" Lucas felt a surge of emotion rise within him. His voice trembled slightly as he replied, "Because you attacked my people. Because you took away everything that mattered to me." The queen's expression shifted slightly, a hint of sadness crossing her features. "We fight because we must," she said quietly, almost as if speaking to herself. "We were taught you were ruthless, cruel." Lucas shook his head slowly, exhaustion clear in his eyes. "And we were taught the same about you," he murmured softly. Realizing in that moment the depth of their misunderstanding, Mirava looked closely at him, noting the weariness and pain etched on his face. Her eyes moved down, noticing his armor, battered and worn from battle. Her voice was softer now, filled with genuine curiosity and something more tender. "Remove your armor," she requested gently. "I must see the one who fights us so bravely." Lucas hesitated, uncertain for a moment. But seeing the sincerity in her eyes, he slowly nodded. Carefully, piece by piece, he began to remove his armor. Each plate clattered softly to the ground, echoing in the silent hall. With every layer he removed, Lucas felt more exposed, more vulnerable as the last piece fell away, revealing the deep wounds and bruises beneath. Lucas stood silently before the queen, his breathing shallow and quick. Mirava's eyes widened slightly. Shock and sorrow reflected clearly in them as she looked over his battered body. In that silent moment, something unexpected happened. The powerful, composed queen, leader of the enemy who had caused so much pain, began to weep softly. Tears slid quietly down her lavender cheeks, leaving silvery trails as she stared at Lucas, her heart clearly moved by his suffering. Lucas stood frozen, uncertain and confused, watching her tears fall. For the first time, he saw her not as an enemy, but as another living being capable of feeling and compassion. He realized that beneath their differences, perhaps they both shared a similar pain. The grand hall remained quiet, filled only with the soft sound of Mirava's tears, each drop marking a profound change within them both. Lucas watched silently as Queen Mirava's tears continued to flow, gently tracing their way down her lavender cheeks. The Zalarian guards exchanged confused glances, unsure how to respond to their queen's unexpected show of emotion. Lucas himself felt uncertain. He had expected hostility, harsh words, or even execution, but not compassion. Finally, Mirava wiped her tears carefully and looked deeply into Lucas's eyes. Her gaze held a sadness he could not fully understand. "How much pain has this war caused?" she asked softly, her voice shaking slightly. Lucas hesitated, searching for the right words. "Too much," he replied honestly. "Both sides have lost many lives. Innocent people suffer every day." Mirava stepped back slightly, her eyes filled with contemplation. She signaled the guards to step away, and they reluctantly obeyed, leaving Lucas standing alone before her. The room grew even quieter, a tense and fragile calm settling over them. "Lucas Harris," she spoke slowly, clearly choosing each word with care, "will you share your story with me? Help me understand your people, your world?" Lucas considered her request, sensing genuine sincerity behind her words. Taking a slow breath, he began softly. "My world is called Earth. It's filled with beauty, with vast oceans, towering mountains, and endless forests. But now it suffers from war. Families are torn apart. Children grow up without parents, and hope is fading each day." Mirava listened carefully, her face showing deep concern. "And your family?" she asked gently. Lucas's voice caught in his throat, but he forced himself to speak. "My parents died in the first attacks. My sister Emma, she's all I have left. She waits for me to come home, hoping each day that I'm still alive." Mirava's eyes softened even more as she listened. "Your sister," she repeated softly. "She must be very brave, waiting like that." Lucas nodded quietly. "She's braver than me," he admitted. "She keeps believing, even when everything seems lost." Queen Mirava moved closer again, her presence calming yet powerful. "We Zalarians were told humans were ruthless, that your species lived for war," she said gently, regret coloring her voice. "But you stand here, speaking of love, family, and hope. How could we have been so wrong?" Lucas looked up, meeting her gaze earnestly. "Maybe we see only what we want to see," he suggested softly. "War makes enemies easy to hate. It stops us from seeing each other clearly." Mirava nodded slowly, understanding dawning in her eyes. "You are wise, Lucas," she murmured. "Your words carry a truth I cannot ignore." Mirava turned abruptly to her advisors, who stood silently at the edges of the great hall. "Bring him medical attention," she commanded firmly. "I want Lucas Harris treated gently and respectfully." The guards quickly moved forward, gently guiding Lucas from the throne room. He glanced back once, seeing Mirava still watching him, her eyes filled with emotions he could not fully read. In that brief look, Lucas understood a powerful connection had begun, something neither he nor Mirava had expected. Lucas was taken to a smaller, brightly lit chamber where Zalarian healers tended to his wounds. Their touch was gentle and careful, their eyes curious yet kind. As they cleaned and bandaged his injuries, Lucas felt strangely safe. Despite being surrounded by beings he had considered enemies only hours ago, he began to realize they might not be so different from him after all. Later, as Lucas rested, Queen Mirava quietly entered the chamber. Her presence was warm, calm, and reassuring. She approached the bed slowly, taking a seat near him. Her eyes met his, sincere and clear. "Lucas," she began softly, "we have a chance to end this violence, to build a new understanding between our peoples." Lucas felt hope rising in his chest, a feeling he had nearly forgotten. "Do you really believe that's possible?" he asked, Mirava nodded firmly. Yes, but it will take courage, patience, and trust. Lucas smiled faintly, despite his lingering pain. Then I'll do everything I can to help, he vowed earnestly. Mirava reached out gently, placing her delicate hand on his. The warmth of her touch surprised Lucas, comforting him deeply. Thank you, she whispered, her voice filled with quiet determination and gratitude. As Mirava stood to leave, Lucas felt a newfound strength and hope, a certainty that perhaps the future could indeed be different. For the first time in years, he saw a path toward peace. Guided by compassion and understanding, Queen Mirava paused briefly at the doorway, looking back at him with gentle eyes. Rest now, she said softly. We have much work ahead of us. Lucas nodded slowly, closing his eyes with a peaceful sigh. His journey had just begun, and for the first time, he felt hopeful about where it would lead. Days passed, and Lucas slowly regained his strength under the care of the Zalarian healers. Every morning, he would rise, stretch his sore muscles, and spend quiet moments gazing through a window that overlooked the beautiful Zalarian gardens. He marveled at the vibrant, exotic flowers and the peaceful, shimmering pools of water. It was hard to believe such beauty existed in a place he had once viewed with fear and anger. Queen Mirava visited him often. She spoke of peace, hope, and her dream of ending the bitter war. Lucas found himself looking forward to her visits, appreciating her kindness, patience, and wisdom. Each conversation drew them closer, bridging the wide gap between their two worlds. One morning, as Lucas sat quietly in the sunlight, Mirava approached him with a thoughtful expression on her face. Lucas, she began softly, I want you to walk with me through our city today. I believe it will help you understand us better. Lucas rose slowly to his feet, feeling stronger now. I would like that, he replied earnestly. Together, they left the healing chamber and entered the bustling Zalarian city. Citizens moved about, busy with their daily tasks. At first, they stared at Lucas with suspicion and curiosity, unsure of the human among them. But seeing Queen Mirava by his side calmed their fears, and soon their looks softened. Lucas watched closely, amazed by the sights and sounds of the city. The buildings rose tall and graceful, their curved shapes elegant and welcoming. The streets were clean and organized, lined with trees whose leaves shimmered brightly in the daylight. Children played nearby, chasing each other and laughing joyfully. Lucas paused, watching their carefree happiness. Mirava noticed and smiled gently. They are innocent, she said quietly, her eyes sad yet hopeful. They deserve peace, Lucas. They deserve a future without fear. Lucas nodded slowly, touched deeply by her words. Our children do as well, he replied softly. Maybe it's time we both stop fighting and start building a future for them. Mirava's eyes brightened with hope. That is exactly my dream, Lucas, she said firmly. As they walked further, Lucas noticed several Zalarians tending to a community garden. They worked carefully, planting new seeds and harvesting ripe fruits. Mirava paused, greeting them warmly, and introduced Lucas. An elderly Zalarian named Arlo stepped forward, extending a friendly hand. Welcome, Lucas Harris, he said kindly. Queen Mirava tells us you wish for peace. Lucas took Arlo's hand, shaking it warmly. I do, he responded sincerely. Peace is what both our peoples need. Arlo smiled approvingly. Then you are welcome here, he said simply. We are ready to listen and learn from you. Lucas felt a deep warmth spread through him, knowing his presence was slowly being accepted. He understood clearly that true peace came from mutual respect and understanding, from seeing each other as equals rather than enemies. Later, Mirava led Lucas to a quiet spot overlooking the city. From here, Lucas could see the entirety of her world stretched before him. The view was breathtaking, filled with lush landscapes and intricate city designs. Mirava stood quietly beside him, her voice gentle yet firm. Do you see our world clearly now, Lucas? Lucas nodded, his heart full of emotion. I do, he answered sincerely. It's beautiful, peaceful. It deserves better than war. Mirava turned, looking deeply into his eyes. Then will you help me show your people the truth? Can we build a bridge together? Lucas met her gaze steadily. Yes, he promised firmly. I will do everything I can to bring peace. Mirava smiled gratefully, placing her hand softly on his arm. I knew you were special, Lucas, she murmured. From the moment you stood before me, proud yet wounded, I saw the strength and compassion of your people. Lucas smiled faintly, feeling deeply moved by her words. And I saw the kindness of yours, he replied earnestly. Maybe that was our first step toward peace. As the sun slowly began to set, painting the sky in vivid shades of orange and purple, Mirava and Lucas stood quietly together, each lost in thought. The future seemed brighter, filled with possibilities neither had imagined before. Peace was no longer a distant dream, it was a reachable goal, something they could build together. Walking back through the city, Lucas felt lighter, hopeful. He understood clearly now that their worlds, once separated by hate and misunderstanding, were slowly becoming connected through shared dreams and mutual respect. And he knew deep in his heart that together they could create lasting peace for both their peoples. Days turned into weeks, and Lucas continued to learn about the Zalarian world, guided by Queen Mirava's wisdom. Each day brought a deeper understanding and friendship between them. Lucas grew healthier, stronger, and began to feel at ease among the Zalarians. He often thought of his sister Emma and his home on Earth, determined to help create peace between their two worlds. One quiet evening, as Lucas stood looking at the stars from a high balcony in the palace, Mirava approached him. Silently, her gentle footsteps barely made a sound, but Lucas sensed her presence and turned to greet her warmly. Lucas, she began softly, looking up at the twinkling sky. Your world is out there, far away. Do you miss it? Lucas nodded slowly. Every day, he replied honestly. I miss my sister, the familiar smells, even the simple things like a quiet walk in the woods near my home. Mirava sighed, gazing at him thoughtfully. I understand your longing, she whispered gently. I too miss simpler times, before the war. My people once lived peacefully, caring deeply for nature and each other. War changed everything. Lucas looked at her closely, seeing sadness clearly in her eyes. But you have the chance to change things. Now, he encouraged her, to bring peace back to your world and mine. Mirava smiled softly. Only because you showed me another way, she admitted warmly. You've opened my eyes, Lucas. Their quiet conversation was suddenly interrupted by hurried footsteps. A young Zalarian messenger approached quickly, clearly agitated. Queen Mirava, please come quickly. There is trouble. Mirava and Lucas exchanged a worried glance before following the messenger swiftly back into the palace. They hurried into the main hall, finding a group of Zalarian guards waiting anxiously. Your Majesty, one guard reported urgently, a group of our people who oppose peace have taken control of the council chamber. They refuse to accept your vision of unity with humans. Mirava's eyes narrowed with concern. She knew the traditionalists feared change, but she had hoped peaceful discussions would eventually win them over. Have they harmed anyone? She asked sharply. The guard shook his head quickly. No, Your Majesty, but they demand to speak with you immediately. Lucas stepped forward firmly. I'll come with you, he offered instantly. Let them see a human standing beside you. Maybe it will help change their minds. Mirava hesitated for a moment, then nodded with determination. Yes, your presence may indeed help, she agreed. Together, they hurried toward the council chamber, tension heavy in the air. Lucas's heart beat faster, knowing the situation was delicate and dangerous. As they entered the grand council room, they saw the rebels waiting. Their faces stern and angry. At their heads stood General Terran, a powerful and respected Zalarian leader. He stepped forward confidently, his expression severe. Queen Mirava, he began loudly, his voice echoing in the large room. Your actions threaten the traditions and safety of our people. We cannot accept peace with humans so easily. Mirava stood tall, facing the general with calm dignity. General Terran, peace is our only future. War has caused too much suffering on both sides. Humans cannot be trusted, General Terran argued harshly. They are violent and dangerous. How can we trust them not to betray us? Lucas stepped forward, standing directly beside Mirava. General, he spoke calmly but firmly, we humans have suffered just as much as you have. We desire peace just as strongly. Please, give us a chance to prove it. General Terran stared hard at Lucas, distrust still evident in his eyes. You are one human among millions, he retorted. How can we trust all humans based on your words? Alone? Lucas took a deep breath, meeting Terran's challenging gaze steadily. Trust starts small, he replied evenly. Let it begin here, with us. Give peace a chance, even if it seems uncertain. Your people and mine deserve that chance. Mirava stepped forward confidently, standing beside Lucas and addressing the entire council. Lucas Harris has shown me the truth about humanity, she declared firmly. I believe in his sincerity and courage. Together, we can forge a lasting peace, but only if we move past fear and mistrust. The council members exchanged thoughtful looks, murmurs filling the room. Some still appeared doubtful, while others began to nod in cautious agreement. General Terran sighed deeply, clearly wrestling with his decision. Finally, he nodded slowly, though reluctance remained clear in his eyes. Very well, Your Majesty, he said reluctantly. We will try your way for now. Relief flooded through Lucas, and Mirava smiled warmly at him, hope renewed in her eyes. Lucas knew clearly this was just one step, yet it was a significant one toward peace. Together, they would continue to work, determined to build understanding and unity between their two worlds. In the days following the tense meeting with General Terran, Lucas and Queen Mirava worked tirelessly to promote understanding between their two peoples. Lucas spoke frequently to the Zolarian citizens, sharing stories about Earth and its people. Gradually, the Zolarians began to see humans differently, not as enemies, but as individuals who also yearn for peace and happiness. Mirava supported Lucas fully, often joining him during his talks. Her presence assured the Zolarians, showing her commitment to peace. Lucas found strength in Mirava's unwavering faith in their mission. They had formed a deep bond, built on mutual respect and trust. One bright morning, Lucas received exciting news. A group of human ambassadors had agreed to come and meet with the Zolarians. It was a significant step forward, and Lucas felt a mixture of joy and anxiety. Mirava stood beside him, sensing his nervousness. Lucas, Mirava said gently, this is a wonderful moment. You should feel proud. Lucas smiled faintly, looking at her with gratitude. It is wonderful, he agreed quietly. But so much depends on this meeting. Mirava placed a reassuring hand on his shoulder. We will face this together, she promised. Firmly, I believe in you. The ambassadors arrived 2 days later. Lucas and Mirava greeted them warmly, guiding them through the beautiful palace gardens. The ambassadors were clearly impressed by the peaceful beauty surrounding them. This is stunning, Ambassador Corinne Ellis remarked, clearly amazed. It's hard to imagine such beauty amidst the war we've endured. That's why we're here, Lucas replied earnestly. To ensure beauty and peace can flourish again for both our worlds. Throughout the day, discussions progressed positively. Both sides expressed sincere hopes for peace and cooperation. Lucas felt his anxiety ease as he watched Mirava skillfully lead the conversations, her calm authority guiding each exchange effectively. However, the progress they made was suddenly threatened. Late in the afternoon, news arrived that a small Zolarian faction, loyal to General Terran, had attacked a nearby settlement. They refused to accept the peace process, determined to sabotage any alliance with humanity. Lucas and Mirava exchanged a worried glance, understanding immediately the danger they faced. Mirava acted swiftly, ordering her guards to secure the palace and protect the ambassadors. Lucas, determined to help, stepped forward firmly. Mirava, let me speak to them, he urged. Perhaps they'll listen to a human, someone who stands with Zolarians for peace. Mirava hesitated, clearly concerned for his safety. It's dangerous, Lucas, she warned gently. They may not listen. Lucas met her worried gaze calmly. We have to try, he insisted. Peace is worth the risk. Mirava reluctantly agreed, and together, they set out toward the settlement. Guards accompanied them closely. Prepared for any trouble as they approached, Lucas saw the settlement in turmoil. Small fires burned, and frightened Zalarians huddled together. General Terran and his followers stood defiantly, ready to fight. Terran, Mirava called firmly, stepping forward courageously. End this now. Our people need peace, not more violence. General Terran glared angrily at Mirava. You betray our traditions, Mirava. Humans can never be trusted. Lucas moved closer, standing confidently beside Mirava. General, look around you, he pleaded earnestly. Is this the future you want for your people? Fear and suffering? We have a chance for a better life, together. General Terran hesitated slightly, the turmoil in his eyes evident. How can I trust your promises, human? He demanded harshly. Trust doesn't come easily, Lucas admitted gently. But we must start somewhere. Look at your people. They deserve peace. Terran glanced around, noticing the frightened faces of the Zalarians he claimed to protect. Slowly, his anger softened, replaced by doubt and uncertainty. Please, General, Mirava added softly, enough suffering. Let's build a future where our children grow up without fear. Terran finally lowered his weapon, his shoulders sagging. Very well, he murmured reluctantly. But I warn you, human, do not betray our trust. Lucas nodded firmly. I won't, he promised sincerely. Mirava stepped forward, placing a gentle hand on Terran's arm. Thank you, she said quietly, relief evident in her voice. Returning to the palace, Lucas and Mirava knew they had overcome another significant hurdle. The ambassadors, impressed by their courage and dedication, agreed to finalize agreements promoting lasting peace between humans and Zalarians. Lucas felt immense relief and satisfaction. Mirava stood beside him, her eyes filled with gratitude and pride. You were brave today, Lucas, she praised softly. He smiled warmly, feeling truly hopeful. We were brave together, he corrected gently. Mirava nodded, smiling back with warmth and deep respect. Together, they had taken a significant step toward the peace they both dreamed of, confident now that their shared vision could become reality. In the weeks following the successful peace agreement, Lucas and Mirava worked tirelessly to ensure lasting harmony between humans and Zalarians. Ambassadors and leaders from both worlds regularly traveled back and forth, creating strong connections and understanding. Lucas felt pride and happiness as he witnessed the growing friendship between their peoples. One evening, Lucas and Mirava walked together through the peaceful palace gardens. The setting sun cast a warm golden glow over everything, turning the sky into a soft canvas of pinks and oranges. Lucas enjoyed these quiet moments, feeling a deep sense of peace. Lucas, Mirava said gently, breaking their comfortable silence, your sister Emma will arrive tomorrow. Are you excited to see her again? Lucas's heart leaped with joy at the thought. Very excited, he replied warmly. I've missed her more than I can say. I can't wait for you to meet her, Mirava. Mirava smiled softly, her eyes bright with anticipation. I look forward to it very much, she admitted warmly. She must be wonderful to have inspired such courage and kindness in you. Lucas blushed, slightly appreciating her words. She is wonderful, he agreed softly. She's always believed in me, even when things seemed impossible. The following morning arrived quickly. Lucas stood nervously by Mirava's side as a shuttle carrying Emma and a small group of humans landed smoothly in the palace courtyard. His heart raced with excitement and anticipation as the shuttle doors opened. Emma stepped out immediately. Spotting Lucas, with a joyful cry, she rushed forward and embraced him tightly. Lucas hugged her fiercely, tears of happiness filling his eyes. Lucas, Emma exclaimed joyfully, I've missed you so much. Lucas held her close, smiling broadly. I missed you too, Emma, he replied warmly, feeling immense relief and happiness. After their emotional reunion, Lucas introduced Emma to Mirava. Emma looked at the Zolarian queen with respect and curiosity, smiling warmly. Queen Mirava, Emma said gently, thank you for taking care of my brother and giving him hope. Mirava returned Emma's smile warmly. It is I who should thank your brother, she replied sincerely. He has helped bring peace and understanding between our peoples. Emma nodded with gratitude, her eyes bright with happiness. He's always been special, she agreed proudly. Over the next few days, Emma became familiar with the Zolarian culture. She explored the city, visited gardens, and met many Zolarians. Everyone warmly welcomed her, eager to learn about her life. On Earth one afternoon, Lucas, Emma, and Mirava walked through the gardens together, talking quietly. Emma turned thoughtfully toward Mirava. Queen Mirava, Emma asked gently, what inspired you to seek peace with humans? Mirava looked warmly at Lucas, then back at Emma. Your brother, she admitted softly. When I first saw Lucas, wounded yet brave, I realized we had misunderstood humans completely. His compassion showed me a better path. Lucas smiled gently, feeling deeply honored by her words. It was your courage that truly brought peace, he insisted sincerely as they talked quietly. A sudden noise disrupted the peaceful garden. An explosion shook the palace grounds, startling everyone. Guards rushed forward, alert and protective. Mirava's eyes widened in alarm. What's happening? She demanded urgently. A guard quickly reported, a small group opposed to peace has attacked. Again, they are at the palace gates, causing damage. Lucas quickly stepped forward, his face determined. We must protect everyone, he urged. Let me help. Mirava nodded immediately. Be careful, she warned firmly. Our future depends on this. Peace. Lucas rushed toward the palace gates, guards following closely behind. Chaos filled the area, with angry rebels shouting demands. Lucas spotted General Terran, fighting bravely to control the attackers. General, Lucas called urgently. We must end this peacefully. General Terran nodded sharply, working with Lucas to calm the attackers. Lucas bravely moved forward, speaking firmly to the crowd. Stop, Lucas urged passionately. Violence is not the answer. Look around you. This violence only causes suffering. Please, let's find peace together. Slowly, the angry crowd quieted, listening carefully to Lucas's heartfelt words. One by one, the attackers lowered their weapons, understanding the truth in his plea. Mirava soon joined Lucas, standing proudly by his side. She spoke firmly, her voice clear and strong. Together, humans and Zolarians can create a future filled with peace and understanding, she declared passionately. The attackers finally surrendered, realizing their actions were wrong. General Terran and the guards secured the area, ensuring everyone's safety. Later, standing in the now peaceful courtyard, Lucas and Mirava exchanged relieved smiles. Emma stood proudly by Lucas, admiring her brother's courage and strength. You truly are special, Lucas, Emma praised warmly. Lucas shook his head modestly, smiling gently at Mirava. It was teamwork, he replied softly. We all worked together to make peace happen. Mirava nodded proudly. And together we'll protect that peace, she vowed sincerely. Lucas knew she meant every word, confident their shared vision would endure. After the crisis had been resolved, the palace settled into peace once more. Lucas, Emma, and Mirava worked closely together, strengthening the trust and friendship between humans and Zolarians. Lucas knew their efforts had created something powerful and meaningful, something that would last. Months passed swiftly, filled with cooperation, understanding, and happiness. The bond between humans and Zolarians grew stronger each day, showing clearly how powerful peace could be. Lucas felt proud of all they had accomplished that one evening. Lucas stood alone on the palace balcony, looking up at the stars twinkling in the clear sky. He thought deeply about everything that had happened, feeling grateful for the journey he had taken. Quiet footsteps approached. and Lucas turned to see Mirava joining him. She smiled gently, her presence always calming and reassuring. "Thinking about your journey, Lucas?" she asked softly, standing beside him. Lucas nodded slowly. "It's been incredible," he replied warmly. "I never imagined my life would change like this." "I'm thankful for everything, Mirava." Mirava smiled gently, gazing thoughtfully at the stars. "Your courage changed the future," she said sincerely. "You helped build a bridge between our peoples." Lucas turned to her, speaking earnestly. "We built it together," he insisted softly. "Your bravery and kindness made this possible." Mirava smiled warmly, her eyes filled with gratitude. They stood silently, enjoying the peaceful night, each reflecting on the powerful bond they had formed. The next day brought a special event. Humans and Zolarians gathered at the palace for a ceremony celebrating peace. Lucas and Emma stood proudly beside Mirava, welcoming guests and sharing stories of friendship, and Unity. Ambassador Karen Ellis, who had become a strong supporter of peace, stepped forward to speak. Her voice was clear and strong as she addressed the gathering. "Today we celebrate hope," she said warmly. "Hope for a future built on trust, respect, and understanding. Lucas Harris and Queen Mirava have shown us the way. Together, we can ensure lasting peace." The audience cheered, applauding. Loudly, Lucas felt deeply moved by the support, understanding clearly how far they had come. General Terran, now fully supporting peace, stepped forward, his voice filled with sincere respect. "I once believed humans could not be trusted," he admitted openly, "but Lucas showed me differently. I am proud to stand here today, committed to a peaceful future." Lucas smiled warmly, feeling genuine gratitude toward Terran. The general had become a friend, proving people could indeed change. Emma stepped forward next, speaking with quiet confidence. "My brother has always inspired me," she said softly, her eyes filled with pride. "He taught me never to give up hope, even when things seemed impossible. Today, I see clearly that peace is always possible." Lucas hugged Emma tightly, feeling deep joy. Their bond had only grown stronger through their experiences, and he knew clearly how important family was. Finally, Mirava stepped forward, facing everyone with grace and dignity. Her voice was gentle, but powerful as she spoke. "Today we celebrate unity," she began softly. "We celebrate the courage it took to move past fear and mistrust. Lucas Harris taught me the true meaning of strength, compassion, and friendship. Together, humans and Zolarians will build a future of lasting peace." The audience applauded warmly, clearly moved by her sincere words. Lucas felt pride swell within him, grateful to have shared this journey with Myra VA. As the celebration continued, Lucas found himself looking toward the future with hope and excitement. He knew clearly that the friendship between humans and Zolarians would only grow stronger, guided by understanding and respect. Later, standing quietly with Mirava, Lucas felt deep peace and happiness. "This is just the beginning," he said softly. "There's still much work to be done." Mirava smiled warmly, nodding in agreement. "And we'll face it together," she promised sincerely. "Our friendship will guide us." Lucas knew she spoke the truth. Together, they had created something truly remarkable, a bond that would endure. As the evening ended, Lucas, Emma, and Mirava stood together under the stars, enjoying the peaceful moment. Lucas felt grateful for every challenge, every triumph, knowing clearly each step had brought them closer to this wonderful day. "Thank you, Mirava," Lucas said softly, filled with sincere appreciation. "Thank you for believing in me and for giving peace a chance." Mirava smiled warmly, her eyes shining with gratitude. "Thank you, Lucas," she replied gently. "You showed me what true courage looks like." Standing together, surrounded by friends and allies, Lucas knew their future was bright. Peace had been hard-earned, but together they had proven it was achievable. Lucas smiled gently, his heart full of hope. Together, they would continue to build, protect, and cherish the peace they had found, confident it would last forever.